Good morning and welcome to the news at 8, the news breakfast news. The headlines this morning: Church seeks collaboration with state government on public water supply. Nigeria Medical Association donates toilet facilities to people affected by flood at holding centers. 9 new cases of cholera reported in Yobe State. And on the foreign scene, former Philippine First Lady Imelda Marcos faces jail term over fraud. We begin in Oka here, where the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints has extended hand of partnership to the state government to provide clean water to Anambra communities. Members of the Latter-day Saints charities in company of Technical Specialties of Water Project in Africa paid a courtesy call on Deputy Governor Dr. Kemokeke at the Government House, Oka. Government House correspondent Eji Kabana fired on the report taken from our studio.
While receiving the group on behalf of Governor Willie Obiano, Deputy Governor Keke said the state government is open for partnership that works, stressing that availability of clean water solves a lot of health challenges. The Deputy Governor, who revealed that the state government is doing some interventions in the area of water supply, told the group that they will hopefully hold another meeting where they will harmonize with the ministry in charge of water resources. On providing relief to flood-affected persons, the Deputy Governor praised the initiative and explained that distribution of relief materials is already ongoing by the federal and state governments, as well as well-meaning individuals and organizations.
I want to thank you all for visiting. I think it's great, it's wonderful. I think the state, if you talk about hygiene, one of the greatest things you need is clean water. If you can get clean water, then it stops the recurrence of all types of health challenges that the state's communities will keep on having. And I like your idea. You also think in terms of cooperating with the states and also the communities and having the stakeholders involved in the project. Somebody needs to take ownership of these initiatives.
Listing some of the requirements for the partnership, Mr. Max Reynolds noted that they are in the state to support the water supply initiative of the state, adding that the system is designed in a way that it will provide about 20,000 liters of water daily, noting that they have helped in providing over 100 boreholes across the country. Mr. Reynolds, who said that they require geophysical survey as well as state water requirements to commence, stressed that they need ownership and maintenance commitments from host communities, as well as deed of the land done in favor of the communities. He assured that they will bring a drilling crew to do the job, while training of some members of the host communities in the process is free of charge.
We visit the different states. We're looking for those who want to work with us as a partner. And our partnership consists of 3 entities. The first one is the state government. We're here to support, not replace, not tell you what you ought to be doing, but to support your water initiative. Now, in turn, we would ask you to help us, because for us to know what we should be doing where comes from your recommendations.
The area welfare specialist, Mr. Chede Ibakuzie, said that they have been working in the country since 2004, including provision of hospital projects and refurbishments, and have received approval to provide relief materials to flood-affected persons in the coming week. The dummy work plan was later presented to the Deputy Governor.
Similarly, the state government has called for increased private sector partnership and collaboration in the health sector to ensure easy access to quality healthcare delivery by the people. Deputy Governor Dr. Kemokeke made the call when he inspected the ongoing rehabilitation work at the Enugu General Hospital, Enugu, in Njikoka Council area. Again, Government House correspondent Ejike's report is taken from our studio.
The Enugu General Hospital is one of the 3 general hospitals designated for rehabilitation in the 3 senatorial districts by Governor Willie Obiano. On arrival, ABS cited an ongoing building on the site, which is already at the decking level, while workers were seen mixing concrete and laying blocks. The 2-story building has provisions for wards, consulting rooms, theaters, diagnosing centers, and maternity. While expressing satisfaction with the quality of work done so far, Deputy Governor Okeke said that Medicare remains a top priority of the present administration, but regretted that funding has been a challenge to finance some of the projects. While assuring of the state government's determination to finance the project to completion, the Deputy Governor pointed out that the governor recently approved and release some funds for the projects, adding that there is another part of the contract that needs to be approved for them to get additional funding.
I believe that the way they're going, if funding is made available by next year, early next year, this will be ready for use. It shows the commitment from His Excellency. It's not just an election talk. This is something that needs to be done, and it's a priority. The health sector is a major priority for the governor, to make sure that we have people they can have access to good quality healthcare services. As you know, we already have the health insurance scheme that's on, which means that people can now go to hospital and get proper treatment without having to pay for it. So these are things the government is trying to do to make sure that citizens, are taken care of. This is a social service, of course. If you know, it's not very expensive to provide the necessary healthcare people need. Basic healthcare. That's what we're trying to achieve in the state.
Mr. Eric Najoba, representing the contractor handling the project, promised that with the continuous assistance from the government, the project will be completed by early next year. Dr. Herbert Abasi, a senior medical officer who spoke on behalf of the Chief Medical Director of Enugu General Hospital, expressed joy that increased activities are being witnessed on the site, expressing the hope that the project will be completed soon.
Yes, it's a thing of joy. We saw increased activities since last month, after some months of lull in the project. So we are quite happy that it's going on very well right now. So at least let it be completed and put to use in our own time before we go. So I'm quite happy that the work is going on very well.
The Nigerian Medical Association Anambra State chapter has officially handed over 4 trench toilets constructed by the association to the Anambra State government. Chibuzo Okoye has details.
The toilets, which were constructed for the flood-affected persons at Atani, Obaro Council area, were received by the State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Joe Akabike, represented by the Anambra State Hospital Administrator, Dr. Richmond Achubu. The commissioner said that the state NMA were the first group to respond to the plight of the affected persons and commended them for their tireless efforts and professional dispositions throughout the time of the flood menace. He said their intervention helped immensely in eliminating the outbreak of diseases that would have occurred for lack of defecation facilities during the period across the holding centers in the state. Dr. Akabike maintained that the Willie Obiano administration will continue to partner with the Medical Association to give the Anambra world-class health services at all times.
Good toilets, disposal system for the waste, human waste. Nobody knew the number of people that they camped here, so you couldn't plan for that quite ahead of time. But this issue came up, and as members of the noble profession, the medical doctors of this state, the Nigerian Medical Association, I know, must have anticipated what will happen if this large population of people were not catered for in the issues of proper waste disposal.
Handing over the toilets, the state chairman of the association, Dr. Emmanuel Muonago, represented by his vice, Dr. Jide Onyekwelu, said that the toilets had been put into use since 13th of October 2018. He explained that trench toilet is a makeshift emergency latrine and disclosed that the trench toilets have served the urgent health need of putting the human feces beyond the reach of flies and rodents that are agents of transmission of diarrhea diseases from feces. He assured of their readiness to always partner with the state government.
As the Commissioner said, NMA extends a hand of collaboration to your ministry. We are happy with the giant strides the Honorable Commissioner for Health has been doing in Anambra State to ensure that we have affordable, appropriate, accessible, quality health care in Anambra State for our people from the Anambra. We are the doctors. We want to collaborate with your ministry to ensure that this thing continues. This good gesture you've started, it continues until we'll have health care for everybody, equitable, affordable, quality health care for everybody in Anambra State.
The Transition Committee Chairman of Obaru Local Government Area, Comrade Arinzechuhu Awogu, equally praised the state NMA for their benevolence. The Flood Relief Committee Chairman, Obaru Local Government Area, Honorable Ben Wanosike, was also present at the official handover exercise. from Atani in Obaru local government area, it's been Chibuzo Okoye for ABS News.
The Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment, Mr. Sidon Adenoba, has urged journalists in the southeast region of the country to be more responsive in their reportage in covering the electioneering process ahead of the 2019 general elections. Mr. Adenoba made the call at a one-day workshop on election coverage and reporting for broadcast journalists in the southeast region of the country, facilitated by the Anambra Broadcasting Service and the Ford Foundation. The report is here. The Information Commissioner, who underscored the centrality of the broadcasting on other media practitioners in ensuring peaceful, free and fair credible polls, asked journalists to be guided by national, state and local interests in the reportage and resist being used as tools to cause disharmony in the society.
We had an election last year, and it turned out to be the most peaceful election ever conducted by INEC. Anambra is not only the safest state in terms of almost total absence of violent crime, but it's also in terms of sense of solidarity.
Mr. Uche Nwora, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of ABS, who spoke on behalf of the facilitators of the program and the sponsor, Ford Foundation, explained that the workshop was timely because of the fast approaching election to serve as a platform for journalists to update themselves with the codes, ethics and demands of effectively covering the pre-election, the election and post-election activities.
Journalists trying to, be security conscious during elections. That's an aspect that we don't normally, although we've been quite happy in Anambra State. Anambra is a very peaceful state. But I mean, for those that don't live in Anambra listening to us, as a journalist, when you're going out to cover election, you need to be prepared. Have all the right gear. If it's possible to get insurance, get your organization to do insurance for you. That will also be helpful.
Delivering a lecture on the theme, MBC Guidelines on Election Coverage and Reporting, the Zonal Director of the Commission, Mrs. Susan Obi, reiterated the need for broadcast journalists to strictly observe the codes of political reporting and to properly and accurately inform their audience without bias, while the resident Electoral Commissioner of Independent National Electoral Commission, Anambra State, Dr. Nkwachukwoje, called against reports that will undermine the electoral process.
Because we noticed that some people normally would thumbprint their ballot paper, take a photo of it, and use it to go and solicit for money, which is a violation of what the regulation says. You know that the law talks about secrecy of the vote, so it violates the secrecy of the vote. And in order to contain that, what we did was to put a prohibition on use of smartphone inside the voting cubicle, not in the voting unit.
In Oka, this is David Obopasle reporting for ABS News. Advocates for Peace and Value Reorientation Organization has conferred on the State Head of Service, Mr. Hariodo, with the Certificate of Integrity Stewardship Award. The award was conferred on the Head of Service when the group visited him in his office in Oka. The organization, which is a non-governmental and professional skilled volunteers working towards free corrupt society and promoting ethical leadership, presented the award to the Head of Service for his outstanding leadership service. The Executive Director of the organization, Mr. Abraham Abubakar, said that part of the organization's program is to inculcate the zeal for selfless service and exposure of corrupt practices. According to him, the organization also aims at rewarding the most service-oriented leaders through a well-conducted, confidential, independent assessment. He noted that the assessment targets outstanding citizens, selfless politicians whose actions and words connote integrity and true service to humanity. Mr. Abubakar emphasized that the assessment exercise was conducted through opinion polls, questionnaires and interviews with information on any personality on the study. He explained that the assessment conducted on Ms. Tudu came out outstanding as the most ethically responsible personality and listed other areas where the Head of Service excelled, to include display of ethical leadership, development policy performance, commitment to state government's transformation agenda, and obedience to the rule of law. Receiving the award, Mr. Hariodo, a lawyer, thanked the group for finding him worthy for the award and dedicated it to Governor Willie Obiano and those who work tirelessly for effective service delivery. Mr. Hariodo, however, urged them to continue being focused in their cause of advocacy to make things right, as nation building is a collective responsibility. The Acting Director, Public Service Office of the Head of Service, Mr. Debe Ojeyanka, commended the group for finding the Head of Service worthy for the award. Mr. Ojeyanka described the Head of Service as a humble personality that has the interests of state workforce at heart. 9 new suspected cases of cholera have been reported in Yobe State, northeast Nigeria, bringing the total reported cases of the disease in 2018 to 1,759. The revelation was made by the Emergency Manager, World Health Organization, WHO, Mr. Collins Owili. Owili told journalists that the reported cases, out of the reported cases, 61 persons were lost, showing a case fatality ratio of 3.47%. He stated that compared with that of the previous day, 3 cases were reported from Gulani, 6 cases were reported from Damaturu, no case has been reported from Gujba in 6 days. None was reported from Fune in about 2 weeks, while Potiskum has not reported any case in over 6 weeks. Owili revealed that the WHO has continued line listing of all suspected cholera cases within the city and neighboring communities, and have also continued retroactive case search in communities and health facilities using volunteer teams and facilities in Gulani, Gujba, Fune, and Damaturu. The medical consultant said all stakeholders in the health sector have continued response activities in affected locations through bucket-to-bucket chlorination, clearing of drainage and refugees, and disinfection of households, adding that wash teams and WHO-supported volunteers have disinfected 15 households in Gulani and Damaturu. The governments of the United States of America and France are interested in Nigeria Air, the federal government has announced. It also dismissed claims that the process for the establishment of the national carrier was suspended due to the lack of investors. Speaking at the 5th Aviation Stakeholders Forum in Abuja, the Minister of State for Aviation, Hadi Sirika, also explained that the planned national carrier was suspended because of the first transaction advisor, Lufthansa, that was to spell out the ownership model in the privatization and shareholding process and did not complete the process. He said Lufthansa was replaced due to its outrageous demands, which included opening an escrow account, refusal to pay tax, and demand for 75% upfront payment. The minister outlined ready investors in the national carrier to include the African Development Bank, Islamic Development Bank, the governments of the United States and France, among others. He also explained that the estimated funding requirement for the establishment of the project was $300 million up to 2020, and an initial startup capital of $55 million made up of $25 million for the deposit for new aircraft and $30 million for working capital from June to December 2018. A Philippine court has found former First Lady Imelda Marcos guilty in multiple corruption cases. It ordered her arrest on Friday in a rare conviction that she is likely to appeal to avoid jail and losing her seat in Congress. The Special Anti-Corruption Sandigbaya Court sentenced Marcos 89 to 6 to 11 years in prison for each of the 7 counts of violation of an anti-corruption law when she illegally funneled about $200 million to Swiss foundations in the 1970s as Metropolitan Manila governor. Neither Marcos nor anyone representing her attended Friday's court hearing. During the U.S.-backed dictatorship of Imelda's husband, Ferdinand Marcos, the family is said to have amassed an estimated $5 billion to $10 billion in hidden wealth. No one has issued any reaction on behalf of Marcos, although her lawyers were expected to appeal the ruling, which activists and human rights victims welcomed as long overdue. The court disqualified Marcos from holding public office, but she can remain a member of the House of Representatives while appealing the decision. Her congressional term will end next year, but she has registered to run to replace her daughter as governor of Northern Ilocos, Norte Province. Imelda Marcos' husband was overthrown by an army-backed People Power revolt in 1986. He died in exile in Hawaii in 1989, but his widow and children returned to the Philippines. Most have been elected to public offices in an impressive political comeback. And on sports this morning, the Confederation of African Football has approved the Apako Stadium Makodi for the home matches of Lobby Stars in the 2019 CAF Champions League. CAF Regional Coordinator and Inspector Salisu Abubakar inspected facilities at the stadium accompanied by S-International Nasiru Jubril, expressed satisfaction with the facilities at the venue. He noted that there were still technical areas that needed to be put in order, but the first game on November 27 will address such issues. The club's vice chairman, Mike Idoko, said the club was working hard to represent Nigeria well in the competition. He said the team were already in camp in Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State. He also said the team played some friendly matches in Lagos and Togo. The chief of staff to the Benue State Governor, Tewase Obumbude, who is also the chairman of the fundraising committee, said they were working around the clock to source funds to ensure Lobby win the competition. And on a sad note, it was a celebration of life as people from all walks of life converged on the Obio Uno Ebu Umudemu Newi North Council area for the funeral ceremony of late Chief Jonathan Orizu. Late Chief Orizu, who died at the age of 8 years, was the Obi of Umudem village and Odumodu Newi, and is survived by 2 wives, 7 children, many grandchildren, and numerous other relations. Queen Anambra was there and filed this report.
Died in September this year and has since been buried according to the custom and traditions of the Newi community. In a sermon during the well-attended funeral ceremony, the vicar in charge of St. Stephen's Anglican Church, Umudim Newi, Venerable Arinze Anene, while recounting how the deceased rose from grass to grace through hard work, asked his children to take solace in the fact that their father lived to a ripe old age. Venerable Anene, who spoke on the topic, "You need to see Jesus," explained that sin makes one short, spiritually bankrupt, and advised people to embrace Jesus for a transformed life.
Christian. Yet, Jesus. He was living a life of contradiction. How can your name be pure and your life is not pure?
In an interview, one of the wives of the deceased, Mrs. Ego Orizu, said the death of her husband has created a vacuum no one else can fill, and asked the children to continue to live together in unity without discrimination. In their separate remarks, some of the children, including Dr. Ifani Orizu, Pastor Dr. Mrs. Chuku, and Mrs. Joy Izuchuku, who spoke affectionately about their late father, said he was known for his kindness, generosity, and was a person who became somebody for nobody.
Oh, he was a very generous, honorable, honest.
My father is a person of integrity. I try as much as possible to maintain that integrity wherever I am, because he was somebody that maintained integrity, and that is why you are seeing the caliber of people that you are seeing today. Everyone I learned a lot. I learned a lot. Loving people no matter the condition, no matter where they are.
In their condolence message, the People's Club International, speaking through their president, Chief Romanus Eke Dozie, said the late Chief Orizu was a very nice man that was always ready to help. Special prayers for the family, funeral oration, musical renditions, condolence visits from friends and well-wishers featured in the ceremony. From Nnewi, Queen Anambra, ABS News.
Remember, you can follow news and programs on ABS from any part of the world by logging on to our website, www.absradiotv.com. Like us at www.facebook.com/absradiotelevision. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ABS Radio TV. And that is the news for this morning, but before we go, the headlines again. A church is seeking collaboration with state government on public water supply. Nigeria Medical Association has donated toilet facilities to people affected by flood at holding centers. 9 new cases of cholera have been reported in Yobe State. And on the foreign scene, we brought you that former Philippine First Lady Imelda Marcos is facing jail term over fraud. Thank you for joining us this morning. I am David Obokwasile. The Weekend Show continues right after now.